On today's show, Bumblebee is back, but who from the cast and crew is coming with him? We also have, come on, you excited about Shazam? Do you like 80s movies? And finally, the movie that's going to inspire every kid to be a writer, Beach Bum.
Yeah.
Movie talk starts right now. People excited about Beach Bum.
Beach Bum.
It's the life that we all wish we had. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Collider Movie Talk. My name is Mark. Over there is the very limber Jeff Sneider. Right over there is John Steven Rocha. He almost had the right camera.
Damn it.
Rocha, let's just do a test right off the bat. We're going to go to your single, and we're going to make sure you are in the right camera. Go.
There I am.
Okay.
There,
really
right there.
Don't know if the guy's playing a joke or not. There
it is.
You almost had it.
There it is. Boom. There I am. How you like that? How you like me now?
What we pay you for is to take those bits 4 seconds too long. How are we? Gentlemen, this is an interesting pairing because we're down to Haley Fouch. We're up at Jeff Sneider. You call back up to the big leagues. Now, you, giant Patriots fan, lifelong Patriots fan, Rocha, because of your intolerance for all dumb things Washington Redskins, you seem to have converted over to the Rams. So how do y'all feel? How's the office tension right now between the two Super Bowl participant fans?
It is as it should be. Jeff Sneider versus John Rocha. It is as it should be for this Super Bowl. No, honestly, I think it's great. I'm just a LA Ram fan for just casual. But Jeff is a hardcore Patriots fan, so he's living and dying by all.
Yeah,
of
when
this.
Tom Brady's your quarterback, there's not a lot of stress or tension, Mark. Okay.
Oh,
fair enough.
I'm feeling pretty good.
9 times he's now been to the Super Bowl, looking to win his 6th, I believe.
9.
I've lost track.
Against the Los Angeles.
Oh, Jesus.
It's the thing about Boston sports fans, man. They used to be so lovable. Where have you gone? Let's move on to our first story. And our first story is indeed that Bumblebee movie that we teased. Bumblebee. The movie came out this past Christmas, had some stiff competition from movies like Aquaman and Mary Poppins Return, so much so that it actually didn't really live up to the previous Transformer films, at least domestically, but it did have a strong release in China, and it is to date said to have made about $450 million worldwide all told. Now, that's on a production budget of $135 million plus. They did the math at the studio. It's enough to get us a Bumblebee 2, which is very exciting news to me because I enjoyed Bumblebee thoroughly. I thought it was a great breath of fresh air for the Transformers franchise, and not just because of those first 5 minutes, but those first 5 minutes, boy, if you're a Transformers fan, if you loved the cartoon as a child or as an adult, you need to see at least the first 5 minutes of Bumblebee. And the rest was a nice girl and her dog story, and I think that we have a lot to matriculate from there. Plus, let's not forget that Allspark Productions, Hasbro, this is not the only toy that they want to have in this universe. We could be looking in the near future at a world where the Transformers are hanging out with G.I. Joe, or hanging out with Mask, or hanging out with Ron the Space Guy, or hanging out with Power Rangers. So, Jeff Sneider, the reason why I bring all these up is because, of course, they want to go back for another run with Bumblebee. We just don't know if any stars are attached yet. Haley Steinfeld, John Cena have both said they'd be interested in returning. We don't have Travis Knight directing yet. We don't have Christina Hodson coming back to write the script yet. So there's a lot of question marks, but on the surface, how does a Bumblebee 2 treat you?
I really liked Bumblebee. I thought it was probably the best Transformers movie I've seen, if not maybe a hair, not as good as that first one with Shia. But I'm all for a sequel. I think Travis Knight should come back. Like that would be good for the project. I don't know if that's in Travis Knight's plans. He may move on to bigger and better things and sort of shepherd the development of a sequel. I think obviously it would be great if they got Haley Steinfeld back. She was really good. But again, I don't know if does it make sense for us to continue exploring that character storyline? Beats me, but I'm all for it. I just think it's super early days for this.
Well, I think it makes sense to continue to explore that character storyline. I am not sure if it makes sense to call the movie, as you were joking pre-show, Bumblebee 2.
Bumblebee 2, nah.
I don't know that you definitely don't call Bumblebee 2 now. I don't even know, Roke, if you call this movie Bumblebee 2, because I think a lot of the criticism as far as why this movie wasn't making more money may have been the name of the project was Bumblebee and there's no Transformers in there. Maybe sometimes you have to spell it out for audiences. Do you do that with the sequel title?
It's an interesting question you bring up. I wonder if that was the reason, because you saw in the trailers that Optimus Prime was going to have a part in this. There were Decepticons. So I think people were just burned by the Michael Bay thing, or the other side of it is that people do kind of like the Michael Bay approach, because you could look at the financial box office of the Michael Bay movies, and they made $4.5 billion. So it could just be a combo of all of that kept people away for a little bit. But I'm glad that enough was made that people wanted, that Paramount wants to do a sequel. That excites me. That makes me happy. And because this was a nice change of pace. And for a lot of people who are G1 fans, like me, like Dennis, like you, like a lot of people who grew up with this stuff, it was nice to see them do a G1 movie in the Transformers universe. So now that they've done this, and yes, it didn't make, $1 billion at the box office, but it made enough to show you that a course correction is now possible. This is a good first step in that direction, and then we'll see where they go with the story. And they teased enough within this movie, like you mentioned, Mark, the first 5 minutes. We could just have a whole film that's on Cybertron. Or we could do a film that is continuation of the Bumblebee story, who is his next owner. Or we tie into the Michael Bay universe, but we have Travis Knight hopefully coming back, giving his interpretation of that universe, with Michael Bay still executive producing, but Travis involved in creating the overall world. This is very close to like the J.J. Abrams situation with Star Wars. He should have stayed to do the second one. He's back to the third one. I think you have Travis kind of turn this into a mini trilogy within the Transformers universe, and then he can sign off on it if he wants to sign off on it. But
well, my appreciation for Travis Knight's work, and the reason why I'd like him to come back as a director, isn't just for what he did with Bumblebee and Haley Steinfeld, with that relationship and this individual storyline that we got. I want to see what he is able to do. Like you said, if we get to visit Cybertron more, because to Jeff's point, I think it is crucial for a sequel to Bumblebee to introduce us to more characters and make it more of a family adventure. The family of Transformers is, of course, who I'm referring to. I don't care about the humans. I want to see more robots transforming in this, and that is what's going to be the link. So this is not necessarily a direct sequel to Bumblebee, and I don't think it necessarily should be a direct sequel to Bumblebee. Sure, you can have Bumblebee in there. I want to see the continuing adventures. I do not want to see this just be a standalone Bumblebee movie. I want to see them build on the incorporation of other Transformers that they had in the first Bumblebee and say, hey, now we are a fully shared universe with all the Transformers. If you don't want to include any of those other toy franchises in there yet, I'm fine with that. I'd prefer a post-credit scene. Yeah. If you want to tease a G.I. Joe involvement, you want to tease some mask involvement, I'm all for that. But I do think it needs to involve other Transformers, and therefore it should not be called Bumblebee 2 or even have Bumblebee in the name.
I think that Bumblebee was a real victim of its release date. I mean, it opened the same day as Aquaman, which is it's proven to be $1 billion movie. I think that they were expecting Aquaman to do much worse. Yeah. And they were kind of caught off guard by how well Aquaman did it and how much audiences responded to it.
2 days after Mary Poppins Returns,
right,
as well.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like, I think it was a tough date for Bumblebee. I was actually surprised when you said that the movie cost $135 million, because I could have sworn that it was only a $75 million movie. And then when I saw it, I was like impressed with how much Transformers action was in it. At $135 million, now we're going to add, let's just say conservatively, $65 million on marketing, because I feel like the marketing was pretty strong for that movie. That's a $200 million spend. When Bumblebee crossed $400 million, that's when they start to go into profit. So I'm actually surprised that the sequel plans have been announced, because it didn't seem like it made a huge return for Paramount. But again, if they can just bring that budget down a little, even if it's to like 110, maybe they got a better chance.
I don't know, because Bay had all the budget in the world. He made money. I think people want to go to see the spectacle of Transformers. It's not just about a touchy-feely, huggy story. It's about can I sit in the theater and disappear into this world with these vibrant colors and vibrant machines and transforming all the time and these battles and all this kind of jazz. People like it. That's why people come to Transformers.
Of course. That's why the Transformers movies have grossed $1.5 billion and all that. But don't you need to find a happy medium, John?
Yes. Yes. And I think that's what the first 5 minutes of the film could show us, which is why I think Travis Knight is the right guy, because Travis Knight is so experienced with animation, CG, that kind of stuff. He's the guy that could do a film that is on Cybertron for a majority of the film, or at least half the film, and then swing it back out onto Earth. And introduce multiple Transformers.
So was it a mistake to not show any of Cybertron in any of the trailers, just to give people the feeling that, hey, when you go see this movie, you're going to get some of that spectacle feel? I, as a fan, was happy to be surprised. Yes. I like being surprised when I go to see a movie. Right. I like not revealing everything in the trailer, but maybe, and this is all hindsight, we're Monday morning quarterbacking here. A lot of people just assume the name Bumblebee, the advertising campaign, seeing the classic car in there would get enough butts in seats. Whereas when you look at it in retrospect, I think that if you showed some of those Cybertron scenes, you could have gotten a few more bucks.
I don't disagree with you. I think that's a very valid point. The question is, we were already going, so we got the gift of unwrapping the Cybertron sequence. But if they had shown the Cybertron sequence in in the trailers, I don't think it would have affected us going or not going. We would have gone anyway. But the extra people would have come to see it thinking it was a Cybertron or there was some Cybertron stuff on it. And just seeing that little bit, I think, could have gotten more butts and seats. I don't think it would have made the huge difference, but I think it would have made enough of a difference where they'd have turned a little bit more profit. And now this word of mouth, I'll be interested to see how the Blu-ray does, how the digital home media does on this thing, and the replay value on TV as well and on the pay channel. So I'm curious to see what the rating, or when it gets to Netflix or whatever it is going to go, what those numbers are going to be like from word of mouth about that Cybertron sequence. So we'll see.
All right, well, we will see Shazam coming into theaters in a couple months now. Shazam, we just had a DC movie gross over $1 billion, and now we're getting another one. What? This movie comes out in we can already buy tickets for it, I think. Yeah. Get excited for Shazam. It's directed by David F. Sandberg, and in a recent interview with our own Stephen Frosty Weintraub, he mentioned the tone of the movie, amongst other notable items, such as the movie does take place in the larger DC universe. That's confirmed, as we suspected, and Sandberg also hinted that there's going to be some sort of references to some other characters that may exist in the current DC landscape. So very vague on that, as we like. I like to be surprised by that kind of stuff, too. He also mentioned the tone and that he would compare the inspiration for Shazam to movies such as the ones that we love from the 80s, like a Ghostbusters, a Back to the Future, and the Goonies. Rocha, my question to you, if you're making a movie and you want to reference a fun film from the 80s, you would, of course, drop Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, and Goonies. Those are arguably 3 of maybe the 5 or 6 most celebrated films from that decade.
Well, I mean, me personally, 2 out of the 3 would be great. You don't need the Goonies. But I know a lot of people love that film. So
Spicy.
I'm just saying, I know a lot of people like that film. But I think that's great stuff to throw out there. You know, Big is logically the most accurate comparison, because the kid, as you see in the trailers, his friend, the kid from It, is schooling him on how to be a superhero, because this is the kid who knows all about superheroes. Remember, in Big, it was Tom Hanks' friend who was schooling him how to be an adult based on his own experiences from reading or seeing things and what have you. So that's a great comparison. I think what sticks out for me reading this great piece from Frosty on .com is that it's a new 52 Dr. Savannah, so it's not going to be this like hunched over guy who's old with the glasses. He's a more powerful guy who's trying to save his family, which is why he gets involved with magic and mysticism and possibly opens the tomb that leads us to Black Adam. And it's about family. And what do you know about Shazam / Captain Marvel in the DC universe? We know about Mary Marvel. We know about his whole family. The Marvel family is a whole family as well in the DC universe. So are these references to family, especially when you read there in the 18 Things You Need to Know, that Billy Batson is convinced that he has a biological family out there somewhere, that this is a hint to what an expansion of the Shazam and Captain Marvel universe. So all of this excites me all around. I love that they're going this 80s vibe, because what's old is new again, and it's a change from Aquaman. Aquaman was fun, and a lot of fun stuff happened there for a lot of people, but this feels like it's be a little more like nostalgic, which will be fun to enjoy.
Jeff, I know you're thrilled by all this conjecture, so I want to get your take on what does it do for a film when a director compares it to all-time classics? Is that selling tickets, or do you think it's setting itself up for failure?
I think it's setting itself up for failure, although I don't know what we expect from these guys. Like, do I want them to compare it to a bunch of bad movies that didn't do well? Like, of course, they're going to compare it to the biggest hits ever.
Movies like Ishtar meets Howard the Duck
Right,
with a bigger
it's like-
budget.
With Waterworld, with a little Waterworld.
Again, it's just tough for me to put a lot of stock in what filmmakers are saying about their movies pre-release. Shazam, it's a shrug for me. It's not something that like I'll actively steer clear of, that I'll like try to avoid. But am I looking forward to it? No, not particularly.
Can I ask both you gentlemen a question? When you get into a movie like this, what is the process that you go through? Because I know you have sky-high expectations for this movie, Rocha.
Sky-high?
Very excited about it. Jeff Sneider could not care less. He might even act a little bothered to be there. When you get in the theater, what mentally, emotionally, physically do you do to kind of cleanse the palate and go in with a blank slate once the movie starts? What's the process?
Well, I can only compare it to what recently happened with Aquaman. I walked in excited, hoping James Wan was going to direct an incredible incredible film that like explored the massive world of Aquaman.
And we got that.
Yeah, okay. And I sat there and I was like, give it to me. Just sat back. I didn't have expectations going when I sat down. I had expectations all leading up to it. When I sat down and leaned back in my chair, I was like, all right, take me on a journey. And I like to stay open-minded. I like to stay open to, because like I said, I enjoyed Man of Steel, loved Wonder Woman. So I have seen the DC movies do well in some of Justice League works for me. It's just sitting back and going, okay, make the world believable, connect to me in some way, and I'll go along with you in this journey. And I look forward to seeing what Sandberg does with this film because I'm a massive fan of Captain Marvel, massive fan of Shazam.
You have to give each film a fair chance. Like,
Yeah.
I don't go into movies hoping to dislike them or be right about them looking bad or something. Like, if a movie looks bad and I don't want to see it, I don't go to the screening. Like,
Yeah.
I don't go to see Fantastic Beasts and the sequel where everyone comes in the next day and like, oh, it was this, it was that, and I'm just like fine not having an opinion because I don't care. On this film, I think it can't be worse than Aquaman or Suicide Squad because it seems like the tone, like it you know, it has its tongue planted firmly in cheek, and so the tone of it alone appeals to me. You know, Aquaman just took itself so seriously, as campy as it was.
I was just gonna say, did it though?
It asked me to like watch that movie with a straight face, and I don't think that is what Shazam is asking of me. So I am, you know, I'm curious about it.
Which is why I thought it might be a breath of fresh air for you, particularly to see these comments from Sandberg. I know you don't put a lot of stock in what a director's saying, especially when you compare your new movie that none of us have seen to all-time classics, which is what I consider 2 out of 3 for sure. And then I like the Goonies a lot. I didn't see it till college either. But when I go to a movie, I'm very lucky in that I don't need to try to win more friends when I go to a screening. I'm a blessed person. I got a lot of friends. It's fun to, you know, hang around with people. I want to be by myself. I want to if you see me, you can say hi. But I'm usually playing words with friends. If Jeff ever wants to challenge me again, that's great.
Ellis doesn't let me sit with him at movies.
And I sit by myself. I want to see the movie by myself. And when the movie's over, I'm the first one out the door because I don't want to talk to anybody at that time. I like to leave. I like to get on with the rest of my evening, probably have some sort of sport DVR'd at home, but I also just want to kind of collect my own thoughts before I get anybody else's. That's just me, kind of a weirdo in that regard, but a lot of people in the chat room right now are weighing in on Shazam, and that includes Jenny Lawson. She says, thank you, Rocha, for sharing the backstory. Even more excited to see Shazam. So you won over one fan. Chris Robinson says, if I see Shazam, I see Shazam. If I don't see it, wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
That's what I expect from the great lead singer of the Black Crowes, who watches every show. And Thunder God Kairos 770 says Shazam will be a fun time, nothing groundbreaking, but fun nonetheless.
Yeah,
let's hope so. I mean,
let me ask you all this question because I know that everybody's going to want to weigh in on this one. It's kind of a Mary F. Kill, but I'm going to take those 3 inspirations that David Sandberg met. So if you had to rank in order, Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, and the Goonies in order of preference, what is your number 1? What is your number 3?
I'll go first.
Mary F. Okay, go ahead.
I'll go.
You don't have to Mary F. Kill. I'm not going to ask you to have intercourse with the film.
To me, it's a very clear-cut Ghostbusters, Goonies, Back to the Future.
Not a Back to the Future guy.
You
as
kill
much.
Back to the Future?
Oh.
You marry Back to the Future.
You're
That's a
still on
stable relationship. You F the Ghostbusters because it's going to be a lot of fun.
I don't want you making unwanted advances to the Ghostbusters.
But you kill the Goonies. It's an overhyped movie. I do not understand when people love it as much as they do.
I understand what people love about the Goonies. I think it's a great childhood movie. Nothing else makes you want to go out and build a fort maybe as much as the Goonies. But I do put the Goonies at 3rd place. Ghostbusters, one of my all-time favorite films, is number 2 because I think Back to the Future is maybe the best time you'll ever have at the cinema, and further proof that Jeff Sneider is either dead inside or spoiled by his recent Boston sports team success.
Bill Murray and Michael J. Fox. I don't know. To me, it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to decide.
It is a toss-up.
Did you even see Family Ties?
Alex P. Keaton, man, he's great. Love me some Michael J. Fox. And all new Collider Heroes dropped today. You had Coy and Amy hosting, and special guest Danny Fernandez, she of the Mother Tamale fame. You can check that out right now. Roki, you produced that show.
I do.
You can check out the set visit for Shazam. We talked about Steve Frosty Weintraub's interview with David F. Sandberg. All of those details are up right now on Collider.com, so go check that out as soon as this show is over, or if you feel comfortable with it, watch it concurrently. And the latest For Your Consideration recaps all of the Oscar nominations and is up right now. Jeff, Rocha, y'all had a night to sleep on all the Oscar nominations.
Yeah.
Any opinions change? Any emotions swayed by the day of whatever we experienced yesterday?
They're sure, I'll put it this way. I said that Perry and Scott were kind of crazy for thinking that Roma was the new frontrunner. They are certainly not alone in that opinion. So I'm starting to get.
I saw you making bets around the office.
I'm starting to get nervous about my bet, but you know what? I stand by it.
What's your bet?
I have the field. Mance has Roma winning Best Picture.
I think that's a smart play. This is my first time getting to talk about these nominations. I'm excited on Collider. Here's what I'll tell you.
We got to move on to our next
No, not again. Damn it.
The Beach Bum trailer. No, please, you have the floor.
No. Here's what I say. I love that Black Panther got nominated. I'm getting a lot of anger on my Twitter about it, which I was really surprised. I didn't know so many people hated that movie. It made so much money. Where do these haters of Black Panther come from? It's surprising to me. But I know people think Roma. I know people think even possibly Green Book. But A Star is Born is still dancing around in there, and that's a feel-good story. Yes, it's been told 3 separate times, been remade or whatever, but I have a weird feeling that A Star is Born, if it's not Black Panther, that A Star is Born might take it. Because if Black Panther takes it, I said this, I was texting Nikki Novak about this. I couldn't believe the nominations, the way they went down. And it could be that with all the controversy with the other films, that Black Panther now slides into the pole position for this if it isn't A Star is Born, because it is such a powerful, empowering film serving a public, that being the black superhero, the fans of black superheroes, serving a public in such a powerful way through Ryan Coogler's direction and the acting and the sequences, everything. So to me, that excites me that Black Panther was nominated. But I will never let go of the anger of Won't You Be My Neighbor not being nominated for Best Documentary or Three Identical Strangers. Those two films are absolutely incredible, and it's mind-blowing to me that they weren't in the conversation. Someone alerted me to the fact that the director for The Favorite wasn't nominated, but he's got he's got all three for Best Director?
Yeah.
For The Favorite? That The Favorite should win. I'm sorry. They're saying The Favorite should win for Best Director.
Because of all the other...
Yeah, because of all the other nominations. That's what they were saying to me. Like, they thought this person had pole position. Well, who do you have for Best Director in pole position?
I would actually vote for The Favorite director if I had to vote for one person.
Okay. I mean, look, I think it's tough for me. The movie that I would root for the most to win Best Picture is BlacKkKlansman. Because I thought that was the best movie I saw. I thought it was the most powerful movie I saw.
It's coming on strong.
Big fan of Black Panther. I don't think it's coming on strong enough to defeat either Roma or A Star is Born are still my two frontrunners. I know Green Book won the PGA. I was a fan of Green Book. I just don't think that has quite enough muscle to get through Roma or Star is Born or both. So those are my two frontrunners. But I always recommend, if one person is really high on a movie, as soon as the nominations come out, bet against that and take the field, because I don't think Jeff's bet is bad. I think Roma could win. Yeah. But if you get the field, if somebody's saying, I'm going to take this movie and I'm going to give you 7 other options.
Yeah, Mance doesn't know how to bet. Don't tell him that.
Well, what happens if Roma does well? I mean, what does that say about Netflix and the Oscars and all? Like, this is very interesting if Roma wins. I think it says
that Netflix maybe earned that $2 subscription rate
there you go.
Sure. We'll have to wait and see about that with all the films they have to offer the rest of this year. We move on to our next story, and that is indeed Beach Bum, starring Matthew McConaughey. What an interesting movie this looks to be. Matthew McConaughey plays a character. Want to get this right. He's a rebellious rogue named Moondog. This is Harmony Korine's first film since Spring Breakers. Harmony both wrote and directed this film. It's got a great cast in. I mean, you also have Isla Fisher, Jonah Hill, Martin Lawrence is in this movie. Very excited about that. Snoop Dogg, Matthew McConaughey's rival from USC. And Jimmy Buffett is in the film. And when you see the trailer, you might understand why. Just a rebellious guy, just does whatever he wants, parties all the time, decides to write his life story. Maybe he's going to jail, maybe he's not. This movie looks crazy. And when I heard it was the writer-director of Spring Breakers, Jeff Sneider, I said, yeah, this is exactly what I would expect from Harmony Korine.
Yeah, it's. I expected the same. I expected nothing less from Harmony Korine. The thing is, I didn't love Spring Breakers. I was not a big fan of that movie.
I didn't love the entire film, but I liked certain elements in it.
I liked Franco. I mean, Franco's Alien was really, really good. But I thought that was an example of style over substance, and that's kind of what this trailer looks like too. I just like it. It seems like a really great character for McConaughey, but at the same time, what is the story? Is it just a character study? Because I can't find a narrative hook to sink my teeth into judging from this trailer. So as much as I love the cast, it's also like a completely out there kind of cast, and I just I don't know, I have low expectations for it.
Yeah, John Rocha, this movie, we're not really sure what the plot is, if there is one, but there certainly is a lot to feast your eyes and ears on. Matthew McConaughey is doing a lot of performing throughout this entire trailer.
Yeah, looks like the 2019 version of The Big Lebowski. A guy who's like just hanging out, living his life, doing whatever he wants to do, and writing or occasionally typing. So apparently he's supposed to write something in order to save his life, his career, or whatever, and or else he goes to jail. Great beginning of the trailer showing the world that this guy lives and exists in. This is nice to see McConaughey go back to a character he probably hasn't played since Dazed and Confused. This kind of like, which we might see Keanu do for Bill and Ted 3. So this will be fun to see McConaughey kind of slip out of the whole more serious fare and step into something like this and kind of let his hair down a little bit and play with this character. I am in Jeff's camp. I wasn't a big fan of Spring Breakers. Those are people I never want to be around or want to know about their world. And I walk past them in the street, keep my head down so I don't have to have any contact with them. But this character that McConaughey is doing is interesting to me, and I'm at least curious. I just hope it is an Inherent Vice, which I thoroughly hated, and I would hate to have it be that. And I'd rather enjoy this movie and this journey that McConaughey is on with this character. And I hope to God there isn't some kind of lesson at the end of this movie about how you should live your life in a better way, because that world that he's existing in, sometimes it's okay to create your own damn world and live in it and have fun.
I don't know that there are a lot of lessons in Spring Breakers or The Bling Ring for that point, because both those movies felt very similar to me, where it was a lot of style. There was a little more substance, I guess, in The Bling Ring, but in Spring Breakers in particular, because we're comparing the recent works, this guy also did Kids.
Yeah.
So with this movie,
Kids I like.
Kids is a good movie.
Yeah.
He wrote it. He didn't direct it.
You're right. It was a revolutionary movie, especially when it came out. It made a lot of parents fearful as to what the hell their kids are actually doing. But this movie has something in its corner, and that is the release date is March 22nd, but more importantly, it's debuting at South by Southwest. It's debuting in Austin, McConaughey's backyard. He loves UT more than life itself. This is the perfect place to get positive groundswells for this film before it actually gets released. I might be at South by Southwest too, so stay tuned.
So if the reviews are mixed coming out of South by, that there's a real problem. Because
exactly.
it's like playing to its home field, and it's going to get the benefit of the doubt from critics there.
Fair point. Either you gentlemen going to South by?
I've never been.
Never been?
I don't get sent anywhere at this company. So.
All right. You know what?
All right.
Were you not
Cody,
at TIFF?
do we have any violins in the back?
No, because I'm using them right now. I literally never get sent. At least he goes to TIFF and what have you. Are you going? You're not going to Sundance?
I went on my own dime to TIFF, but go on.
But you covered stuff for this company,
I did.
so in essence, you were
very late.
You got
though.
a badge
very,
to
very
get
late,
into these movies. So stop crying.
I'm sorry, boys. There's no more woodwind instruments left. So we're gonna move on to our next story. Before we do that, I want to remind y'all we're gonna save some time for your live Twitter questions. Go ahead and start tweeting us right now at Collider Video. Use the hashtag Collider Movie Talk. It's my last one of the week, so get those Twitter questions in while you still can. John Rocha is courageously hosting tomorrow. And now it's time to talk about Netflix. Remember Millarworld? Remember Mark Millar? And he's got all these great comics, and a lot of them have been released by Image, and he signed a deal with Netflix. There's going to be a bunch of movies. Well, now it's actually happening. This is a report from Deadline. It said Sandra Bullock is looking to be in talks to star in the film Reborn. Reborn is a very interesting premise about an elderly woman. She passes away only to find herself suddenly in a mystical, magical world with dragons and other really scary things. And she sees people that she knew in life, and they're dead now, and they're there. But the one person where's my husband? He's dead. Nope, husband's not there. So she has to go on a magical quest with her dead father to go save her dead husband, because she is also now dead. If I sound facetious describing this, I'm not, because I think this sounds fantastic. It was originally an Image comic that I believe debuted in 2016, and Mark is just one of those gentlemen who he's got such a creative mind. I think Netflix made a right move in pairing with him, because they want to get their own independent comic book properties to possibly one day compete with the big kids at the MCU and the DCU. John Rocha, does Reborn sound like something that could start that campaign?
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, it's so distinctly different from what we've seen already from Netflix with their relationship with Marvel, doing those Marvel shows. If you haven't seen Punisher Season 2, it just came out, so go watch that. But this is completely different. I think this will have a different vibe, different look, different feel. It's a cleaner feel, a cleaner world. So this, a more futuristic world. So this will be fun to explore with Sandra Bullock, and it furthers her relationship with Netflix, which is an interesting interesting kind of change in her career that she's going. And Sandra's always been smart with this career of hers, and you got to give her props. She's always like moving where she needs to move to be in position to keep doing the work that she does. So you got to give her a lot of credit there. And Mark Millar now gets a very a current star with in the headlines with what's going on with Bird Box. So you show that she's still bankable in many ways. She now becomes the lead person for your universe. It's a smart thing all around. And Mark Millar is such an incredible writer, incredible creator. This will be fun to see how hands-on he is with this universe of his that he's bringing to Netflix. And with all the other Netflix, all the other Marvel stuff getting canceled, except for Punisher so far, it just slides neatly into those holes and takes people on the next step above what they've already seen.
Yeah, I would have to do a deep dive into the comics to realize what happens if you don't find your husband. You never get to hang out with him again. Do you die? No, you're already dead. So do you go to hell? Sounds like a very interesting premise, Jeff. It also sounds very expensive. Netflix going to be footing the bill for this. How high could that budget go?
I imagine that they could go as high as something like Michael Bay's Six Underground and get to around the $150 million mark. Yeah, Mark. Is it Mark Millar or Mark Miller?
I've heard it both ways. I think it's
both
closer to Miller than it is Millar. Okay,
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I used to say Millar, and people kept saying it's just Mark Miller. Anyways, either way, I like him. I like him personally. I like the film franchises that have been derived from his work. This one in particular, whether Sandra Bullock stars or not, sounds like a complete skip. A complete pass from me. I do not care about things with dragons. Dragons are pretty much the number one way to get me to not care about
dragons.
About your anything. I don't watch Game of Thrones, dude. What do you want from me?
How is
like I don't like fantasy. I don't like, besides the comic book saga, which is the most like so brilliant. I don't like fantasy where the names of lands are these weird, hard to pronounce things.
Not a Dragonheart guy.
Yeah, swords.
It's
not my bag. And it's like I'm fine admitting that fantasy is not my bag. What do you want to say, John?
Your Honor, for the record, I'd like to submit Exhibit A. That is us playing in something called the Pai-Gow Fantasy League that is being run by my friend over here, Jeff Sneider. It is a fantasy league, and its name is essentially a dragon's name, Pai-Gow. So to me, this is insane that you're saying you don't
your
like
argument seems
fantasy.
A little thin,
Very thin. What does
fantasy
football have to do with this movie?
Fantasy is fantasy. You're still creating stuff out of thin air, for God's sakes,
totally
based on some kind of semblance of reality.
This may be the biggest stretch I've ever seen you take on Movie Talk.
Wait till CrossFit later.
This just is not my cup of tea. Yeah. Chris McKay. I mean, it sounds like Dungeons. Sounds like Dungeons and Dragons. Guess what? We had that announcement last year. Chris McKay to direct Dungeons and Dragons. This guy has been Nightwing. I mean, he just signs on to these development projects and then they just go nowhere, and then he's on to the next thing to get paid.
Well, if Sandra Bullock signs on, then this thing all of a sudden has serious legs.
She's not going to sign on until there's a script. But even then, was there a script for Bird Box? Because that movie sucked.
Whoa.
All due respect to Eric Heiser, another guy who I like a lot.
All due respect,
but Bird Box was not good. I read the book. That's a bad adaptation, whether it's his fault or someone else's fault.
Wow. Did you read the book before the movie?
Yeah, I read the book years before.
Wow.
I was like there at the beginning in the room when it was just becoming a thing at Universal.
I will vouch for Jeff. He is an avid reader.
But you don't read fantasy either?
No, absolutely. Like Terry Brooks novels and stuff like that. Pass. Oh, God. No, not for me.
Okay.
Can't lift a book that's over 700 pages.
Go to a Comic-Con. Don't ever go to a Comic-Con.
World of imagination. Well, I'm going to remind you guys.
I'm just being honest. It's not for me.
We also have a new TV talk that's going to be dropping tomorrow, hosted by Joshua Hercules Makuga and Thad Williams. I hear he's somewhat of a lame duck commissioner, but he seems like a hell of a nice guy. So I'm not sure. We also got a new Riley Roundtable dropping tomorrow and an all-new Jedi Council. That's live. Subscribe right here to Collider Video. And while you're at it, check out all the other Collider channels that we have to offer now on YouTube, as well as all of our podcast feed. Quick reminder that I'm in New York City this weekend to do stand-up and then to do the live Schmoedown in Brooklyn on Saturday, and you can tune into it. It's our first pay-per-view match that we've ever done, and it's only going to cost you $2.99. You can watch the live stream from anywhere in the world, nay, the galaxy. You can just go to markellislive.com for information on how to do it. A couple clicks, and boom, you can watch the live stream Saturday night. It's going to be live. It's going to be a lot of fun, and the headline matchup is Dan Murrell versus Ethan Irwin. What's the name I didn't say in there? Sorry, John.
You son of a.
It should be us, Rocha. It
It's
should
for
be us.
my title. You're fighting for my title. Enjoy it for now. Enjoy the time you get with it. Enjoy it, Ethan or Dan, whoever wins it, because I'm taking it back in 2019. You better damn
If
well
I
believe
let you,
it.
Rocha, if I let you.
You don't even start with me.
I miss the days of movie talk when we would use 5 minutes to cut a Schmoedown promo. That's no longer the case.
Nope.
So
Sorry
check me
about
out in
that.
Phoenix next weekend, February 1st. Josh McCouga, Ken Knapsack hosting the show. You get tickets, like I said, MarkEllisLive.com. One night only, Phoenix. Get them while they're hot. Let's move on to some Twitter questions. M. Brenner has a direct challenge to Jeff Sneider.
Oh, God.
Will Jeff go see an anime movie if I pay for his ticket?
I like plenty of animated movies.
Anime.
Anime, not animated.
Anime?
It's Japanese.
Like
man.
a Dragon Ball Z Broly situation.
That would really have to depend. I've seen a few anime movies, and I like Cass Hearn. That's anime, I think.
Okay.
Maybe that's
What about
kinda live
Akira?
action.
Did you ever see Akira? Or as Emma likes to correct me, Akira.
I liked Akira. Yeah, Dragon Ball Z I could not see, even if you pay for it. Sorry.
All right.
a
Christopher Corcoran is up next, and he says, do you think that John Carpenter's The Thing could get the Halloween 2018 treatment with a sequel that has Carpenter's backing, a great director, and maybe even Kurt Russell returning?
Go ahead, Rocha.
Corcoran, thank you for watching the show, man. I really appreciate you watching the show. No! Hell no. Apologies to Adam for my loud yell for the audio, but that film is so absolutely perfect. Should have been number one on the horror list. And it ends the way it ends perfectly. If you add to the ending, you destroy the not the original, but that film. And so to me, if you add to the end that somehow at the end the choice is made, then what have you got? So to me, that's what makes the film so great. It's its own universe, and it has an ambiguous ending. And if you answer the ambiguous ending and you take it away by doing a sequel, I just think you make a
and
mistake.
the thing is not Halloween. It doesn't have the brand power. It doesn't have like the iconic slasher like Michael Myers.
Right.
It just doesn't lend itself to a continuation of that movie. They tried to remake it obviously a few years ago.
Oh yeah,
and it was
But
awful.
that was a prequel.
Well, whatever it was garbage.
Okay.
No, I don't think you're going to see the thing for a long, long time.
We didn't know it was
thing's
a prequel.
frozen.
We didn't know, right?
Until
right.
the end of the movie, which
Right.
I did think was a nice little
That was
Yeah.
a cool little twist.
I
to
like
it.
that. I thought Mary Elizabeth Winstead was great in it, but
was
yeah,
good.
it's not the 1982
No.
thing. And the thing you got to remember is that Halloween has like 10 sequels that did not work, but they worked at the time. They don't work in this current universe because we rebooted it. But I think in order to do something like what Carpenter and company did, is that first of all, David Gordon Green and Danny McBride had a great idea. They went to John Carpenter, they lobbied for Carpenter, and so then they get all those rights, they get the acceptance, they get him to come on and produce it, do some music, but it also gets to renege on a lot of sequels, which is nice because it proves that a franchise like Halloween can have sequels.
Yeah.
So the proof was in the pudding. Even though those sequels no longer count in the canon, they were still sequels that a lot of people did care about and check out. You don't have any of that with The Thing. So as much as I'd be up for really anything that involves Thing and Kurt Russell, I just don't think it's the right play to do.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes dead is better. So we'll leave 1982's The Thing as it is. Thank you to the neighbor from Pet Cemetery. Rob Galifassi's up next, and he says, who is your favorite movie stoner? Favorite movie stoner in honor
that's
of
an easy one.
Matthew McConaughey's The Beach Bum. Jeff Sneider says it's easy, so
it's very easy for me.
Who's he thinking of, Rocha?
Probably Lebowski, I would imagine.
No, come
was your
on.
favorite?
Not Lebowski?
No, it is Matthew McConaughey's best buddy there, Slater from Dazed and Confused.
Slater's son. Okay, yeah, that's
Slater's the man.
a really good one.
Oh.
Fields.
Cheech and Chong. Can you beat Cheech and Chong? Those are the best. I know that's before your time. Those were the best stoners. Those guys were funny as hell. Those films still hold up in some strange way. And they were my introduction into weed and whatever the hell that was.
They're OGs for sure.
They are. That's what I'm saying.
Like,
Say the best ever.
I connected to Slater.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, Slater was a good opener, but that Cheech and Chong
You can't beat Cheech.
it's pretty close to
They're
a
the
mic
OGs.
drop. I mean, I enjoy scenes in Pineapple Express.
Oh yeah,
But
Sure.
it's nothing compared
Would it be
to
Dale or Saul?
I like both of them together. And I
Can't
don't
separate the two.
that would be
don't
me and
puff the
Mark
Chiba.
Ellis on an adventure. Like I'm the Rogan character. He's definitely the Franco. That would be funny.
no, I don't do it. I don't.
You don't do
weed.
I
I don't do duos.
He says
either.
nope to dope.
But yeah, I say no to dope.
Oh, fair
Yeah.
enough. You and Nancy Reagan. Nope to dope, son.
You know, lump me in with Nance.
Well, she was against she had the war on drugs. Come
Yeah,
on,
I know.
dare.
I'm not lobbying for a war. I'm just saying.
Oh,
that it's
okay.
just, not my taste at the moment. Maybe that'll change by a couple hours when I have my flight tonight. Last question, then we will call it a day, and I'll call it a week. Matthew Spencer says, with the 24 hours of Daytona happening this weekend, what is your favorite racing/automobile movie? His favorite is Rush. Good call.
You're going first.
Solid film.
You
gonna go with Stallone's Driven?
No, hell no.
Stallone and Kip Pardue.
Stallone and Rennie Harlan. That's a terrible combination.
Gonna go with Days of Thunder, perhaps. Cole Trickle.
You know what? Yeah. I mean, no, come on. It's got to be Talladega Nights, the legend of Ricky Bobby. That's the one. Look, Days of Thunder is great, but Talladega Nights is hilarious. The way it pokes fun at NASCAR while also respecting NASCAR and having some NASCAR veterans in there is hilarious. Plus, you get one of the great comedic performances ever from Will Ferrell in that movie, and a film that's incredibly rewatchable. And you still get John C. Reilly from Days of Thunder in there as well.
That's right. He's returning to the world of auto racing. The scene where he's on the phone with Will Ferrell, even though he stole his house, Will Ferrell's still on the phone with him, talking him through, and he thinks that his house is haunted. It's comedical. Not as good as Step Brothers, but it's pretty close. Jeff Sneider, the best racing/automobile movie.
I just listened to the Ringers, the Rewatchables episode on the Fast and the Furious. So I do love that movie, but not necessarily for the racing. I'm going to say a movie that's not considered a racing movie whatsoever, and say Heavyweights. The end race in Heavyweights with the dune buggies. I love that. And I will make no apologies for it.
I got to go to the judges on that one. I can rule in your favor, but
my answer.
Just barely. I mean, there's other racing movies, too. You could take some of those, like, Steve McQueen movies that had a lot of action, but also a lot of racing action in there. I'm going to go with Smokey and the Bandit. That is a racing movie. Burt Reynolds, Sally Field. Just so many great cameos in there. Smokey and the Bandit. Endlessly rewatchable movie.
I think I like racing scenes more than movies, like the crew race in Social Network. Jerry Seinfeld racing.
What about the chariot race in Ben-Hur? That's damn classic.
That's tough to watch, man.
That's an incredible.
A dude dies.
Speed Racer.
You literally see a man lose his life.
Spoiler alert.
Speed Racer is like a bad movie. I don't like the Speed Racer movie, but there are some awesome racing scenes.
Oh yeah, it's pretty trippy.
Even Need for Speed, like that's the thing. Racing movies, not great, not my favorite genre on the whole, but there are some great racing scenes in those. But
Rush is a great choice as well.
Yes,
the gentleman suggested, or person suggested that, like, that film doesn't get enough love, and Ron Howard directed the hell out of that film. Great performances and great racing action sequences in that film.
I'm looking forward to this new Ford versus Ferrari movie that's coming out. It's in production right now. And if you want to get a racing documentary, check out. It's about Paul Newman. I can't remember the title of it. It escapes me in the moment. But it's about Paul Newman and his ventures into racing. It was actually directed by Adam Carolla, our good friend, and it's really worth the watch. So if you find yourself on a lazy Saturday or Sunday, it's Sunday but it's not this. So it's kind of like Black Sunday because you don't get any football. You got to wait for the Super Bowl. Check out that racing doc.
It's called Winning, by the way, which is what the New England Patriots are going to be doing in a week and a half.
Wow.
Boom.
Wow. There it is.
Jeffrey Sneider. That is John Rocha. I am Mary Mark Ellis. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to this episode of Collider Movie Talk. Have a great rest of your week. Rocha, good luck corralling the crew.
Thank you.
For an on-time start of 4 p.m. in the PT, we will throw it to the Y to say goodbye as Jeff Sneider dances us out. Hey everybody, Mark Ellis here. Thanks for watching this episode of Collider Movie Talk. You want to watch more? Then click up here, or you can click right here for more great content from Collider. And if you haven't subscribed to Collider Video, do so right now and share this vid with your friends. Thanks for watching.